Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome again to PCA Live as we continue our coverage of all of the PCA show exclusives that are going to be at the PCA 2021 trade show starting in just about 1 week and 3 days away. I think if my math is correct. I've stopped trying to do math these days. Anyway, it's great to be here with everybody in virtual Facebook and YouTube land. We've got a very fun show this afternoon with our good friend Sammy Phillips from La Palina and Cigar Lockdown. So not only are we going to talk about La Palina and their PCA show exclusive, but we're also going to talk about some special things that we got planned for the Cigar Lockdown, that booth that's going to be on the trade show floor as well. So let's bring up, it looks like Sammy is having a little bit of an earthquake down there in Naples, but we'll bring up Sammy and Clay and Aaron Holland from PCA. How is everybody doing today?
Fantastic.
Awesome. Sammy,
Thanks
Clay,
so
how
much
you guys
for
doing?
having us on, guys.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, Clay just flew in. He was out in LA, buttoning everything up for the lockdown. It's been we're the only two people who are insane enough to have the La Palina trade show booth, of course, the Room 101 trade show booth, and now the Cigar Lockdown.
Yes.
So we should have our heads examined.
The triple threat, absolutely. So, Sammy, when's the last time you had a haircut?
You know what? I got it trimmed right before the weekend, and I just, I went full COVID. You guys know me. It was high and tight. Like half the pictures that are out there, everything's like real high, real tight, faded in, no beard. And I think as COVID progressed, I just let it go. I was like, screw it. At one point in history, could you be, from our end and in our business, sort of that shagadelic look, and I just went with it.
Nice.
Outstanding.
Yeah, man.
I'd ask Clay the same question, but I think he and I have the same barber, and so we pretty much cut our hair every other day, yeah?
The Ashkenazi barber.
Mine's Harry's razor. That's all it is for me.
Oh, yeah. You went with the Harry's.
Mine's stressed.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. And our good friend Orlando from Anaheim, so not too far from where you just were, is joining us. He faithfully watches us every day, so he's going to be out at the trade show next week.
Yeah, look, Scott, we're very excited, and wherever you guys want us to talk about, whether you wanted to talk about the Goldie that we made exclusively for the PCA, whether you wanted to talk about Cigar Lockdown, y'all let us know where you want to start. And
absolutely, all of the above. Yeah, sure. So La Palina, you guys have this special cigar that you're making that's going to only be available to retailers at the trade show called the Goldie. If you want to kind of dive into that and let everybody know what the Goldie is, one size, multiple sizes, what's the production run on it, what's the flavor, medium, light, full body, what can people expect from the Goldie?
So, since we're doing a sneak peek, and I actually got the boxes that came in today, this is the cigar that we're going to be showcasing as the exclusive product. Traditional Goldie box, beautiful. The size is a traditional Prominente. And let me just pop this bad baby open so you and all the viewers here, all 5 of them,
excellent,
can take a peek here. And we only made 300 boxes of the Prominente. And this is a very, very special cigar. And when Clay and I and Bill had talked about this, we wanted this cigar to be a little bit different than the traditional Goldie. So we went to Sandy at El Titan de Bronze, and we asked her what we had resting on the base blend of the Goldies. So we went with a different vintage of tobaccos. They're older, they're aged. Obviously, that means older. And this is we have a secret farm that we produce Goldie out of. And it's an absolutely beautiful place. And the Goldie tobacco that comes from that farm is from the highest altitude in the farm itself. So these tobaccos have been resting for years. And I think it's going to give a different smoking experience than somebody who's ready or who smoked a traditional Goldie before. And I think that the size, the Prominente is a fun size. It's something we haven't made before. And we've made 300 and only 300 boxes.
Well, you say it's a secret farm. I'm sold on that. I'm intrigued. I want it.
It's very cool. And Goldie itself has this really strange, very cool, very cultish following. and it's a more expensive cigar because we make it out of El Titan de Bronze in Little Havana, Miami. And this is really the cigar that put El Titan de Bronze on the map. If you like, I think we've mentioned this before. Bill working with Sandy and God rest her soul, Maria Sierra, the quality control constraints that have been put in place for this cigar. It is a truly, truly Cuban-esque smoking experience. So Scott, to lean into what you had said before, this is going to be a solid medium-bodied cigar. It's got a ton of flavor, a ton of complexity. At the same time, it's very rich and very well balanced. So if you're a novice, you can smoke Goldie. And if you're a true aficionado and you appreciate all the nuances of the smoking experience, you're going to be able to enjoy it as well and really, really appreciate what this cigar brings.
Nice.
That's outstanding. So, so you said you kind of had a base that was already there. How long has the Goldie in its various different versions been around?
So this is going to be, I think that, and I could be misquoting here. I believe that the Prominente is going to be the 11th rendition of Goldie. And we've never made something specifically in the Goldie line other than for the overarching retail market. We make between 1,000 and 1,500 boxes a year. We pick that number just because of the tobaccos that are available. And this was something that was very special. We had to go back to Sandy and say, okay, what are the tobaccos that you have? What do we have that's been aging? Let's smoke these different vintages. We went to El Titan. We smoked through all the different porritos, put the components together, and I think that we've got something very, very special.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like it. Now, so you said you produced 300 boxes, and is that, am I seeing this correctly? It's a 10 count?
It's 10 count box, 300 boxes. When they're gone, they're gone.
They're gone. They're gone. So you got to get to that La Palina booth ASAP if you want to get some of these Goldies. Are these?
When you guys made your announcement, we had calls from all over the country. Can I order this? Can I order this? Can I order this? I said no, and I would highly recommend you get to the booth on day number 1, and lock in your trade.
Are you going to now? I guess my question is that if I'm a retailer, are you going to limit the number that you're going to sell? So if somebody who comes in and wants to buy all 300 boxes, are they, is it one and done, or are you going to kind of, okay.
Question.
All right.
We are going to limit. We have to limit the sales, right? I mean, at this point, you guys have over 500 retailers, from what I've heard, that are attending the show. Those are great numbers. Congratulations, Clay and I we're super excited. My God, are we super excited about just to be able to be together again? It's been so long, and then there's been an intense amount of excitement for this size, for this exclusive product.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I can imagine. So especially for the fact that you talked about this, I think that when you're talking about aged tobacco, when you're talking about something, well, number one, premium cigars, there's a lot of care when it goes into handcrafting them. Number two, when you're looking at it, and again, for me, it always plays into the same aspect of wine. When you're aging it, the grapes that you're using, the year that you're using, everything else. So when you're talking about the fact that you have this tobacco that's being aged, the altitude, again, terroir makes such a difference and impact on the 100%. Flavors that you're going to get, right? So for anybody that is even mildly curious about cigars and all that aspect, something like this, I think is a true treat in that regard, because you get to really experience something made very different that's still similar to, like, again, it's just the 11th line in the Goldie. So it's going to have that hallmarks. But for me, what I love about this is, like, okay, if I'm drinking, a Cab Sauv that's coming out of the California, right? And you kind of get used to something a little bit of a rip off of that. You get to taste the nuance and the differences. And I think that that's part of the pleasure of experiencing a cigar like this. I mean, was that kind of in the thought process when you were kind of blending it and coming together?
100%. So I liken the process just like you do, the same as Clay does, Scott. When we drink wine, and Clay and I talk about this all the time. Let's look at Antinori, right? One of the most famous wineries in the Tuscan region, and I liken Goldie, and this is a big stretch, right? To Tignanello. So when you drink Tig, it's different every single year that you drink it. When you drink Jordan, it's different every single year that you drink it. Stag's Leap, Artemis. It changes every year that you drink it. And I think that's what you've seen in Goldie. And it's very interesting because we have this cultish following for Goldie. So we catch a lot of flack on our side. Wow, they made these larger ring gauges, blah 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 blah. It's stepping outside of the norm. And what we're doing is we're listening to the marketplace and blending around what we love. And when we feel like this is really different than the Goldies you've smoked before, because when we released the Goldie Cañonazo, it's a totally different cigar. Now you're working into smaller ring gauges in the Prominente, and then in the cigar that we haven't announced that we're releasing, which is a Laguito. We haven't announced what it is going to be. And then Clay, you're sending the press releases to Aficionado this afternoon, I believe, right?
I'd have to write them.
Oh, he's going to write them, and then they're going to go to Aficionado.
Nothing like the last minute.
Absolutely.
Listen, the stress and the pressure of the trade show, that's what this brings, right? I mean, we're doing the best that we can. I think, like I said before, we've got to have our heads examined between La Palina Room 101 and now the cigar lockdown. We're sort of banging our heads on the concrete floor. But I liken it in the same process. And yes, Scott, when we blend, what we do is we break everything down into burritos. We smoke the pure leaf. We combine them. We smoke them off the table. We let them rest for 14 days, smoke them again. Then we smoke them after 30 days. Then we smoke them after 60 days. So
Perfect.
Everybody's going to be super duper happy, I think, with these Prominentes. And like I said, 300 boxes, they're going to go really, really quick.
So the other question that we get from a lot of retailers is how soon will these be shipping? Because a lot of retailers are anxious to get some more products on their shelves. So if I place my order at the trade show, how soon would these be on my shelves as a retailer?
They will be shipping within a month. The cigars are and have been resting for some time now. I know that the boxes were delivered last week. So all they're going to do is assemble the boxes, and they'll be shipping. So within a month of us returning from the trade show.
Oh, outstanding. So before summer is out, you're going to have the Goldies that are this right on your shelves. Beautiful.
Yes, you will have the Goldies, and then you will have the first iteration of the Goldie that we're going to be announcing. We're going to be announcing it shortly. There's a lot of action
when Clay writes it
at the booth this year. Matt's got the 12th anniversary that he's releasing out of AJ's factory.
That's great.
Super exciting, beautiful Tiffany blue color box. And then for us, we've got some big surprises in the traditional label series. We've got some big surprises with Kill Bill. We've got a new expression in the Digit series. There's a lot of action going on at the La Palina Room 101 booth this year.
So,
Clay might have a few surprises for everybody with Cigar Lockdown as well.
Well, I want to transition to that, but my last question on the whole Kill Bill: are you going to have a contest to see who can smoke a Kill Bill the fastest in your booth and still remain upright?
That's a great, the problem with that, right? If we look at it from a liability standpoint, because if you chief down a Kill Bill, there's a good chance that you're going to get that swirly whirly like you had too much alcohol.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, that's why the name is apropos, right? Absolutely. Now, I heard the stories about the first iteration of that one and how it just, knocks on your ass. And so they're like, let's maybe scale this back just a little bit.
Bro, that's a true story. When Bill was first reintroducing La Palina to the world, and he was blending and working with different manufacturers. And before we started working with Raíces Cubanas directly, and Hugo is a very good friend of myself and Clay. And Clay and I at the time we were both working with Alan Rubin over at Alec Bradley. Mm-hmm. And Bill came in and he smoked the cigar. He fell in love with the blend immediately, and it really put him on his ass. and so Alan looked at him and was like, they were talking about it. He said, you should call this Kill Bill. And that's why we named it the KB series.
That's outstanding. So a good nod to Alan Rubin for the KB. That's awesome. All right, so you mentioned Cigar Lockdown. That's the other component that we wanted to talk to you about today. So, latest issue of PCA, the magazine, we've got a good spread in there about Cigar Lockdown and that whole aspect. We kind of want to talk about it, give people a little bit, if they haven't read the story yet, what is Cigar Lockdown? How did it come to be? And what has been the experience that you've had over the past, it's been like a year now since you've done this, right?
Yeah, it's been over. It's crazy to say it's been over a year, right, man? Yeah. So tell him about the lockdown.
You talk nicer.
You are a nicer talker. So
I think Clay just wants to smoke.
I literally just came off the plane from Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
It was a complete cluster. Flying right now, everybody get yourself treated. Flying right now sucks.
Yeah.
Nobody can follow the rules. many people flying right now. Like all of a sudden, everybody, I guess,
Yeah.
was locked up for a year, and the system can't handle it. So it's really frustrating.
Yeah.
It's-
So that's a good PSA as we're heading out to the trade show next week. Get to the airport about 4 hours early.
That's about right. And
Yeah.
if you're flying American, make sure they don't cancel your flight. Because
Yeah, thank God I'm not.
yeah, well, no, they don't have enough pilots and crew, so you
Yeah.
show up and they just cancel. They're like, we don't have a crew.
That's crazy.
9,000 people. It's like the Marriott boat.
It's a real issue. And if you are flying American, like Clay said, make sure that you're checking in and make sure that you're checking out your flight schedules, because they are canceling
Once
a
you're in
ton of
Vegas,
flights.
it's fine. Like Vegas, we were just there a couple of weeks ago. Once you're there, it's great. Vegas is open and full.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we've heard. Vegas is apparently Vegas is apparently now COVID free, and everybody's flocking there because COVID, I guess, can't penetrate the desert sun.
Well, it's only 116 degrees today.
117 yesterday.
117 degrees. So everybody.
It's a dry heat.
It's dry. You're fine.
There's no such thing as dry heat above 100.
It's muggier right now down here than you could imagine. You could like cut through the humidity and grab yourself a humidity donut down here.
Not to deviate from the story too much, but years and years ago, previous life, we had one of our big meetings was in Thailand. And because they got a deal on the rent space or the event space, they decided to go to Thailand in June. And that had to have been probably the worst possible decision of anybody's professional career, to hold a big meeting in June in Thailand. I've never felt humidity like that in my life.
You know that Clay actually created a show called Fight Girls, and he filmed in Thailand as well. Very, very cool.
No, sure. It was a show on Oxygen, produced for 3 years for Oxygen Network, and I actually lived in Thailand that whole time.
All right. Well, so then you know of which I speak.
Hey, Clay, we're having a hard time hearing you. I'm not sure if you can hear.
Yeah, I don't think that your AirPod is connected. We're getting it a little bit. But for anybody that didn't know, Clay spent 3 seasons filming Fight Girl. Now, you can just yell at Sammy.
Yeah,
and
Clay
Sammy
spent
can translate.
3 seasons living in Thailand and producing a show, creating a show called Fight Girls, and it was a super unique show. But the point is that he lived in Thailand for 3 years, and it was on the Oxygen Network, and he also worked for Travel Channel, et cetera, et cetera. So he's got a wonderful checkered past that I get to hear about when we drink wine on my on the porch. So
that's all right. So cigar lockdown. So this all started with the lockdowns.
So this all started with the lockdowns, when before everything shut down. Bill had called Clay and I and said, it looks like this thing's happening. And then we ran a few different scenarios, and it was, okay, what if it shuts down for 2 weeks? Understood. And we had that discussion, and then, okay, if nothing happens, and then, okay, what if it really shuts down? And so we had funny enough, all 3 of those conversations. We took a blending trip to Nicaragua and Honduras. We blended a bunch of stuff, projected everything for the year. We had different brick and mortar retail programs set up for different consumer packaged goods that we were taking to market. We had a different humidor. You'll see this in the booth. We have a 3,000 count, completely bespoke, beautiful stand-up humidor. All these programs set, and then the world stopped. Oh, Clay was out in market when the world stopped. I happened to be home, and then Bill was up in DC. So Clay and I were throwing some stuff around the infield, blah, 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 blah. Of course, all the Facebook lives, the Instagram lives, those started to come. And we had already had a discussion about starting our own podcast and then pivoting from the podcast into a show that was cigar centric. And then Clay and I had this conversation, and Clay's like, how do you think that we could do this? We had multiple discussions, and then the cigar lockdown was born. It was, how do we service brick and mortar retail when brick and mortar retail is shut down? And so we figured out a way that we could contact the retailers, offer them a special pack so that they could compete with all the national accounts, the Total Wines, the ABC Fine Wine and Spirits, the Binnies, the Specs, because you knew that they were going to go up. When things go to shit, what do people do? They drink and they smoke.
Yep.
That's, if history repeats itself, and it did.
Yeah.
So when you look at all the Cigars Internationals of the world, their business and their volume went up, up, up. And then our brothers and sisters who were in the market were freaked, totally freaked. So we immediately sent product into the marketplace for, okay, if you buy this, then you get this help. We don't want any money from you. We don't want anything from you. We just want to support you while things are upside down. And then as Clay and I continue to talk about this, it was, how do we create this environment? How do we bring fun, entertaining content to the world and at the same time support brick and mortar retail in sales? So if you were in New York, obviously you were shut down. If you were in Florida, obviously you were shut down. And as time went on, we knew that there was more and more and more of an issue, and we created this show, the Cigar Lockdown, which was fun, lighthearted, entertaining, and then at the same time, brick and mortar retailers could sell those packs, which we would then drop ship on behalf of the retailer to their consumer base.
Awesome. That's great. And I mean, from everything that I've heard, it was a huge success. People loved it, and it just kind of kept taking on a new life of its own as it kept growing.
Yeah, I think for the most part, Clay and I had talked about this a few times. You never know what's going to happen until you're in front of that screen. Clay and I are both fun guys. We're wacky guys, and we just wanted this to be lighthearted. There's a lot of shows that are out there that are cigar centric, and it's all right. Let's talk about the wrapper. Let's talk about the origin. Let's talk about the binder, the origin, blah, 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 blah. And it becomes monotonous. Unless you're like a super fan, totally geeked out about cigars, you're good for about 8 minutes of that. And then you're like, I'm over this shit. Like, I'm flipping the channel. I'm moving on. So we knew it had to be fun. We knew it had to be entertaining. And then especially Clay, coming from the entertainment background that he comes from, he really led that charge. So we hired some different people. We hired some different content creators, and we tried to make it as fun and entertaining as it possibly could be. So it became a variety style show, almost like an SNL with different skits. We had Nicole Brisson, who's a world famous chef. She won Best Steakhouse in America, Best Chef in America. She won Chopped. We had Angelo Sarukis, who's a world famous comedian. We had Michael Benevente on the show, who's the national director of Accutron Watches, and they're the second largest watch group in the world. We had different people. We had famous authors, and then we leaned into our friends that are our peers that we consider to be family, right? Like the Rocky Patels of the world, the Alan Rubins of the world, the Nish Patels of the world. Liana Fuente made a cameo. Yeah, so we really, Johnny Huber, Pete Johnson, the list goes on and on. But these are guys that really believe in this craft, and they're fun and entertaining in front of the camera. So we just wanted to bring a different, fresh, fun attitude at a time when people were really upset. The world was very uncertain, and they were able to make a little bit of money, and we really wanted to support brick and mortar retail, and I feel like we did that.
And so because you've had great success with this, and people know it all over now. And so what's exciting is, I know when we talked a few months ago, we were hoping that you would be at the show, and now it looks like you are. You're going to be there right in the middle of it all, bringing the show to the floor.
Aaron, I wish that Clay could talk right now, because the reception that we got from our manufacturing partners, large and small, has been completely overwhelming for us. And so, for Clay and I, again, I just want to reiterate, we should have our heads examined for trying to operate this and do this during the trade show. For us, it's been an incredible amount of work, but we've had over 30 retailers. We capped this at 30 retailers, or 30 manufacturers, my bad. So we capped this at 30 manufacturers. We are making, they're actually going to be separated into two different packs. We've constructed the packs with what we refer to as the big boys. That's the Olivas, the Rockies, the Fuentes of the world, the Perdomos of the world. Like, all these people signed up. And then we've got some newer companies, or up and coming companies, which we refer to as hyper boutique. So Cavalier, Ace Prime, maybe they, as they've been building their brands, haven't gotten the amount of attention that they've wanted to over time. And this gives them the same platform and the same interview time as when Carlito and Liana come on the show, when Rocky, Nimish, and Nish come on the show, when Nick Perdomo comes on the show. Everybody knows them. They know their brands. So they get to talk about the nucleus of their brands, the heart of their brands, and then the brand that they're promoting. Maybe it was something they launched in 2019, but because it launched in 2019, it didn't get as much exposure as it should have. Yeah. And then you've got these you've got these micro boutiques that we're going to bring attention to as well. So it's an incredible lineup of manufacturers, an incredible lineup of cigars. There's a ton of value for the manufacturer, and there's a ton of value for the brick and mortar retailers who are going to support this program.
And so at the trade show, what is that? How is that going to look at the trade show? What are you going to be doing? What are you going to be doing there? What can people expect to see when they walk by Cigar Lock?
So there is a 3,000 square foot booth. Clay's gone full Hollywood, leaned on his friends and his associates that he's worked with for years and years. We have our team that's flying from Naples, Florida as well. And then Clay's got a local crew because Clay filmed in Vegas before. I've never met anybody who's more familiar with Vegas than my best friend, Clay Roberts. I mean, it's crazy. So we leaned in hard. And basically what you're going to see, Aaron, to answer your question, is the Cigar Lockdown studio is being transported to Las Vegas. And then our girl, Joan from Global Displays, who is one of our main sponsors, because Joni is basically doing this at her cost or losing money on this. So that, and she's built this beautiful booth. So you're basically going to see the iteration of Cigar Lockdown that you see here in our offices in Naples, Florida, in our studio, transported to Las Vegas.
Yeah, so
That's
it's
awesome.
like a speakeasy vibe. And so I know when we talked a few months ago, I was so enamored with it. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to come down and see it in person. And now I get to see it right there.
Yeah, yeah, it's really exciting for us. And again, we're calling this the Cigar Lockdown PCA Unlocked show. Nice. is what we've named this, because finally, after all this time, where we're going from the Cigar Lockdown, right, to Unlocked.
I love it.
So it's going to be all kinds of excitement that's going on at the Cigar Lockdown, and so unfortunately, Clay can't hear us.
I can actually hear you. Can you hear me now?
Oh, okay. No, well, we can only kind of pick it up, I think, from Sammy's microphone, unfortunately. So, but this is going to be exciting because I think it's going to present. And when we talked about this, and you said this yourself, like this is something that just really hasn't been seen before on the show floor, and so it really gives us an opportunity to.
Well, there we go.
Oh, I was hearing myself there. All right, are we good now?
Can we hear Clay now?
Can you hear me now?
No.
That is so wacky.
Maybe those things only recognize your ears, Sammy.
Bro, like really sticking in. I don't know. Right? They must only adapt to my wacky ears. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Can you still hear us, Clay? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but when we were talking about this, you were like, this is going to be something that's really, really new that people just haven't seen before, right? So you're going to be able to, it's like a live production that's going to be going on the show floor. So there's going to be all kinds of good excitement that's going on, good content that's going to be done. And so I think that are created while we're there. So I think it's going to be really exciting for people to, A, those who are participating, but B, also just to kind of see what this is. And then potentially, what are the kind of the plans for the Unlocked for the future as this continues? Because I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to see this and want to be involved somehow that haven't been in the past.
Scotty, it's a great question. So this is going to be, people are going to be able to see live elements from the show floor. But, Clay and I talked about this ad nauseum, and it's really going to be live to tape. And so what people are going to see is as this progresses, all the interviews that we do on the trade show floor, they're then going to come back. Our professional editing team is going to take care of everything. They're going to edit it down, make it manageable on our side, because if you run the math at 10 to 15 minutes an interview over 30 different people and special guests, it's ginormous. You'd be having a 4-hour show.
Right.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to hack it up. We're going to chop it up. And how this works is once the brick and mortar retailers see this, they're going to say, all right, I want to bring this into my shop. So what we've learned over time is the retailers need enough time to sell this. So 2 weeks to 3 weeks after the show, you're going to begin to see all of these interviews. And then we're going to start putting that into the world. and they'll be able to go to cigarlockdown.com or theunlockedshow.com, and they'll see all of this. So there's been a completely separate website that's been created, which we haven't made live yet, for the Unlocked Show, and that's the version that we're talking about. And
awesome.
After that, we're going to make these announcements, and there's going to be a live show that we're doing from our studio in November to follow up. So you'll have subsequent, what we refer to as happy hours, where we bring some of these people on, we talk about the interviews, and then we re-interview those people. And then, of course, our special guests to make everything entertaining in true Cigar Lockdown fashion. And then the big show that's happening in November, which means raffle tickets, prizes, more fun, special guests, and then everybody will get to see all of the content that we're creating on the trade show floor.
Nice.
That's going to be awesome. So yeah, we got to prolong the magic as far as that's concerned. And so yeah, it all sounds amazing. So folks, not only are we going to have the special Goldie at the trade show, we got Cigar Lockdown. So we're going to have a lot of excitement that's going to be there with La Palina, with Room 101, and with Cigar Lockdown. Clay, even though we couldn't hear you all that well, and Sammy, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you again for spearheading these initiatives. Guys, only 300 boxes of the special Goldie from La Palina, so get there early, otherwise you're going to miss out. And we will see you in just a little over a week, guys. I want to say thank you very much for your time and coming on here, and thanks for all of the dedication and support of putting on some special things going on for the show this year. I think it's going to really add a new element and a new layer to the trade show that people haven't experienced before, so I'm excited for that.
Scott, I think if we've learned anything from this experience during COVID is that connectivity is king. Exactly. And this is fun. The Zoom calls are fun. The Microsoft Team calls, StreamYard, it's all awesome stuff. But, you know, being able to shake somebody's hand, being able to see somebody and hug them after what we're looking at well over a year, this trade show is very, very important. And that is why we're bringing as much energy and as much flavor as we can. Like you said, the Goldie Prominente, only 300 boxes are made. It's a really special cigar. Make sure you get to the booth first thing. Come and lock them down before they're all gone. And make sure you check out the lockdown set because it's going to be epic. I promise you.
All right. Straight from Sammy's lips, folks. Got to go have the epic experience. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Clay, go get a nap after your fun flight experience. And we will see you gentlemen in the very near future. Thank you again for joining us. I really appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thanks for having us on. We'll see everybody soon.
Thank you. Also, check out the Cigar Lockdown spread in the new PCA magazine as well. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right, guys.